Hi, everybody. Welcome back for our pen and ink class today. You will need a couple supplies. So you're going to need some kind of pen, whether that be artist pens or just like a regular ballpoint or gel pen. Anything like that will work. So grab your pens. If you have artist pens, grab several sizes. So my Prismacolors, which is what I'm working with today, it has a 1, a 005, 03, 05, 08. So it has quite the spectrum of sizes. If I've had a few students use like pens they bought from Amazon, they weren't Prismacolor, they weren't Micron, I don't remember the brand, but they had a whole array of sizes. That's kind of what I'm using as my description for artist pens. Artist pens come with lots of different sizes. So if you have a set of pens that are not Prismacolor, not Micron, but they have a whole array of sizes, great. Grab them. Let's use those because you just have more control when you can really choose the size of pen that you want to use. If you don't have that, that's fine. I think my runner-up choice would probably be like a gel point pen or ballpoint. I like these. So if you don't have any kind of pen like this would be my runner-up choice. Some kind of pen like this would be great. And then lastly, if there is no other option except a Sharpie, which I don't know if I have one in my kit today. If you guys only have an option of using a Sharpie, that's fine as well, but I would choose a different project. So we have two project choices for you today for pen and ink. One of them has all of these little shapes in them, like a lot. And they have the number scale, but the actual shapes are not numbered. The other option is this one with a much larger box and a couple little guys. Still has the number scale, but then the actual shapes themselves are numbered. So this is kind of like a, what is that? Paint by number. So this is sort of like a paint by number. If you only have the option of a Sharpie, I would stick with this project because Sharpies bleed pretty badly, especially on copy paper. And it would be really hard to contain your shapes, I think, nicely with a Sharpie on this. So if you really only have a Sharpie, I would choose this guy. Beyond that, the reason I gave you two options was because this one's a little easier than this one. So if you feel uncomfortable with practicing without any numbers, I would just stay with this. If you feel like you're up for a challenge, and this is probably the one I'll be doing today, is this one. You can follow along with me and we'll be doing this together. But like I said, if you're uncomfortable, I would do that one. And or just for the fun of it, when we're done today, do whatever one you don't do with me, do it later. Okay, so I'm gonna get my supplies ready and then I'm gonna pray because I forgot to pray earlier before class. So I'm gonna try to remember to do that before we get started. Okay, so it gives you a chance to get your supplies. All right. Thank you, Lord, for the chance to come together, Father, in your presence. Thank you, Lord, for just giving us divine creativity, Father. You have put this passion, this desire to be creative. You put it in us. And I thank you, Lord, for this chance to help it to grow and to blossom in all that you have for us, Father, both creatively and in our lives in general. Lord, help us to continue to grow more in everything that you have for us. And we thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So hopefully everybody's ready on Zoom. Let's take a quick look. Has everybody got their supplies ready? Good thumbs ups. All right, good. So if you guys are having artist pens, if you guys have your artist pens, I'm going to talk a little bit about the sizes really quick. So I'm going to be working on the smaller exercise, so all the little shapes. I'm going to use the smallest pen. So the Prismacolors go down all the way to 005, and that's most of the brands go down that low. I think my Le Pen brand goes one size smaller. I don't have it with me. It goes down to like a 003, so that's pretty small. But I would say generically just start with a 005 for this because everything is so little. There's a couple reasons to stay little versus big. So one of the reasons to stay little is you have a lot more control and things are going to look more detailed, more refined if you use a smaller pen. And surprisingly, you can cover up a lot of mistakes with a light pen. It builds slowly. So if you all of a sudden find yourself making a mistake, you can keep layering it and you can cover a multitude of problems if you start with a smaller pen. If we really need to, we can go up to like a 1 or a 2 today, so do keep those sizes around, but we're gonna start most of this with the 005. All right, so let's talk about this. These are not numbered. And if you guys did the pen ink projects with us last time, it was numbered, like that other project that I talked about. It's sort of like a paint by number, so it's really easy. And I like them. It's a good way to practice your techniques in a very sort of non-stressful way because you're just filling it in with the numbers. So the graph on the side here is numbered 0 to 5. The 0 means no pen at all. And if you were using the graph one, let me see where the numbered one is. So it means all the zeros, and actually this one doesn't have very many, means it's getting direct sun. So no pen touches it at all. 1 would be 1 layer of pen. And then from there on, I don't follow it 100%. Supposedly it'd be 2 layers, 3 layers, 4 layers, 5 layers. But ultimately the goal should be, you're just trying to create the difference of depth. So sometimes I find 5 ends up having 6, 7, or 8 layers on it to create the darkness, especially the smaller pen you have. If I'm using a 005, it might need 8 layers in order to create that amount of depth. So it's a guideline. I can't say that it's exactly 5 layers. That's not really realistic. But what you are going to try to do as we go along is we're trying to create different levels of depth. So you may have to keep adding more layers so that that 5 area looks darker than the 4 area. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. So we'll do it together since these aren't numbered, so we can all sort of be going at the same pace with each other. So my sun is coming from over here, right? So what I'm first going to do is avoid all the areas that I think are going to be 0, and I'm just going to add everything with 1 layer of lines. And we're going to be doing hatching today, which probably should have mentioned that earlier. You could do anything you wanted. So if you guys did this on your own time, you could always try going back and doing dots. That's just going to take way too long in this video. So I'm not going to do dots. I am going to start with doing hatching, which hatching means single lines going in one direction. So I'm going to start with this little guy here. So I would say this is probably a 0. I would say this is getting direct light. So I'm going to work on this with just 1 layer of pen. What I did do in the last video where I filled in shapes like this, I change the direction of my pen quite frequently. And the reason I do that is because I think it helps, I don't know, show direction pretty well. There's actually an exercise, maybe I'll try to do it with you guys next time. There's an exercise that I like to do with people where all these little boxes, and if you shade them all the same direction, they all look flat. But if you change the directions of your lines, the boxes all of a sudden look 3D. And so that's why, as a habit, I know these will get more layers on them, but I try to make my lines go different directions so that it shows that something's going on there and it's not just flat. Before I move on to any of my shapes, I will make sure that everyone's on the same page with me because I don't want you guys getting lost, especially if you feel uncomfortable with inking this without numbers. I'll go this way. Okay. All right. How's everyone doing with that? Thumbs up. Good. Thumbs up. All right. Evelyn, are you gone or are you just taking a break? She's probably gone. Joey and Caleb, you guys doing okay? Okay. All right. Malai, are you doing okay? You can even just put a thumbs up on your screen if you need to. All right. So I'm going to move on to a different shape. So I've just completed this guy here. So we're going to move on. How about we do, I really like this little box thing. So you see the box here on the far left side, you guys, it has kind of the openings in it. Let's start working on that. So I would say for sure that the top portion of this box is going to be 0. So I can start working on the sides of the boxes and put one layer of pen down. So I'm going to do that. I'm going on an angle. Now I did my lines this way on this face of the box, so I'm going to do my lines this way on this side of the box. And a recap for anybody who either joined us late or didn't hear it, I'm using my smallest pen. So my smallest pen in the Prismacolors is 005. I will keep the other sizes though nearby because at some point, this will take forever if I only use 005 to really get the darkness. So at some point I did switch and I used some 1. All right, so I'm still inside this box, you guys. So there will be some shading in here. So I would think that if the sun is further away and it's not directly on the top of this box, that there will be some shading on that bottom, like the, I don't know, the floor of the box. So I'm going to put a layer of pen here and on both of the inside, I don't know, walls of the box. I'm doing the walls of the box vertical. And then I'll do the floor at an angle. Okay. All right. Let's move on to, looks like a bolt. I think I want to move on to that shape. I like that one. So same thing, I would say the top is probably a 0. And I would probably say that the very bottom of the inside and maybe the side here, this little middle, maybe a 0. It's hard to tell depending on where it is. It could be getting shadow from these guys, but I'm going to go with 0 for now. So that means everything else is going to get a 1. And I'm even going to say this side piece is probably a 1. Yeah, that's it. It's a 1. Emma, did you get a printout of your paper? Yeah, good. So I saw that you had printed out that deer picture, Emma. If you want to, I think that video should be up on YouTube at this point. You could always go back and watch the video of how to do the deer if you want to at your own time.
She's giving you a thumbs up.
All right. Now, this is, again, me kind of guessing. I'm not sure if I'm right or not. Looking at this sort of bolt shape, I might say that this upper shape, so there's 3 shapes on the inside. The bottom and the middle, I'm going to throw out there and say it's a 0. This upper one, though, it could be getting a shadow from the bolt itself, so I'm going to make it a 1. And I'm going to change the direction. I'm going to make mine horizontal just to differentiate it from the outside. Okay, let's do the box or the weird paper thing. Let's do the weird paper thing. So when I looked at, I kind of looked at my other sheet. They have a weird little paper thing on this other sheet here too. And I realized as soon as I inked it on one of my other demo ones, I inked it incorrectly. And I was like, oh no, I did it wrong. I think that this is a 0. I think that this could be a 0 or a 1, but I think I'll just make it a 0. So 0, 0, but I think that's a 1 and that's at least a 1. So all of this can be a 1 except this and this. The fold, I don't know how you guys' eyes seeing it. Depending on how you ink this shape could look totally different. It could either be laying sort of, I don't know, this could be looking down onto the shape, or I don't know if anyone else's eyeballs see this, but this also could be on its side. Can you guys see that? Or is it just me? Maybe I'm just tired. But depending on how you shaded it, I think you can make it look however you wanted. I don't know, did that make sense at all? Or maybe I'm just losing it because I'm tired.
Makes sense.
Okay. So I would say that that's getting the sun. So it's coming here and it's hitting that guy. So I'm not going to hit that one, but I will do this one. Okay, so we just got a little zigzaggy box. So this box is kind of fun. When I look at it, what I see is that this lip here should be 0. I think that this lip, I don't know, it could go either way. I think for the moment, I'm gonna leave it 0. It could be 1, it all just kind of depends. I'm gonna make it 0, 0. This I might make it a 1, you guys, because if it's kind of, I don't know, if it's starting to tip, which it does look like based on the angle, it could be in a little more shadow. So I might say 0, 0, 1, and then 0, because this is coming from over here. So if my sun's going here, it's going boop, and it just hits this guy over here. That's how I look at it. So then at least 1, 1, 1. What I liked,
Miss Anna, there are
yes,
a few people
yes.
who are running behind right now.
Uh-oh, I will stop and wait for you. Sorry. I'll stop. Take a look, see how you guys are doing.
If you guys are caught up, you can maybe do a little thumbs up or something.
Good, nice time, nice job, Joey. That looks good. Good, I can see Evelyn's. Good, Emma, looks like you're caught up, okay. LCP, that looks good. Oh, did we lose Abigail again?
Yes, she's having trouble with Zoom, so I sent her the YouTube Live link, and I see that there are 2 people watching, so I'm hoping she's one of them.
Okay, well, good. Hopefully, so Abigail, if you run into any problems, try to, I don't know if you can you comment on YouTube while it is
You
posting
can,
live?
but yes, you can, but I also said she could comment to me in our Facebook or through
There you go.
email, and I'll make sure you get that.
Okay, okay, good. All right, so have you guys all caught up? You can just shoot a really quick thumbs up if you're all good, and I'm gonna keep going. Good. Okay, so I think that's everybody. All right, so I'm gonna continue on. So I'm still working on the box. Maybe you guys have already gone on ahead of me now, but I'm gonna keep inking in my box.
Malai, if you go to your menu down at the bottom, there's a little reactions tab. If you click on that, you can do a thumbs up or a clap. Puts a little animated, well, little animated thumb. You see that? Okay.
All right, what's next? Let's do the giant cone, pyramid, that kind of shape. Let's do that one. So this one I was kind of on the fence about. So there's two sides here close to the left. There's this itty bitty skinny one, and that's a 0 for sure. What I was really unsure about is this one. I feel like it could be a 0, and maybe I'll leave it a 0 for now. I didn't the first time I did it. I actually made it a 1, and I'm looking at it going, I don't know, it feels a little dark. So I'm gonna try this time leaving the 2 over here 0, so white. And then if I want to, I can come back and I can ink it, but then that means from here over, so one, I guess it'd be third one over, all of them get at least 1 layer. So go ahead and start working on that. Try to keep your lines close together as we continue to do this exercise, you guys. What I like about this worksheet is they're fun ways for you to continue practicing your techniques. So even though we're also working on observation skills of, where our light and shadows are, we also need to be working on always keeping our techniques close. You have a chance to repeat them again and again and again in a more fun way than just doing a bazillion of straight lines across your paper. We're actually doing it for a purpose. But you still always want to be thinking about making them really close together and clean. This guy's so little on the far side that I'm actually inking the one next to it and the baby together, at least for this layer. I inked the baby by itself last time, and geez, that little guy is small. Okay. So I'm turning my paper a lot, if you guys can see that. I find that there are certain angles for my hand that is more comfortable. So I find that pulling in downward strokes like this is the most comfortable, or like slightly sideways. So I'm always turning my paper to best meet the angle that's for my wrist. So I'm not, if you ever try to feel like you're pushing away from you with your pen, I think that's really hard to keep your strokes the same. So that's why I'm always rotating my paper so that you get a chance to put your hand in the best position to do that. Usually it's lines, the best way you can. And so keep rotating your paper a lot. Okay, so let's move to, ooh, my dad would really like it if I remember the shape. Is this a, I don't remember. Mr. John, do you remember what shape this is?
It's a dodecahedron.
What was that? That was good. What?
I think it's a dodecahedron. I
Oh.
believe.
I don't remember. That sounds good.
3-dimensional.
We'll go with it, even though I have no idea.
What shape is it?
It's well, the pentagon is,
It's like a pen.
or a pentagram, right?
Yeah, but does that count if it's a whole? I don't know.
5 sides.
Hey,
Yeah, it has 5 sides.
It might be a dodecahedron, because if it's the other side too, if it's 3-dimensional, that would be 10.
okay, see, so my dad would be happy if I remembered, but I didn't remember. Okay, so this one too, you guys. I think there is probably only 1 0 on this, in my opinion, looking at it. So here from the far edge, so if my sunshine's coming in here, I think this is probably 0, but I bet everything else is at least 1. So go ahead and put 1 layer of pen on every side. But I want you guys to change the directions of your pen. So don't do everything in one direction. Change it on each shape, even if it's just a little bit. I think it looks better, more 3D, if you can do that. Miss Gia, while we have people listening, what is our schedule for tomorrow?
What is it?
We're going to start out in the morning at 10 o'clock with something new. We're calling it Paint Small. Gianna and I are going to get whatever kind of paint we can dig up, and we're going to paint some fun little things to cheer people up. And then at 12:30, Miss Anna, you are going to lead us in how you're just going to let us take a peek at how you worship God with your creativity on your own. So you're going to be working on a project of your choosing in the medium of your choosing and worshiping. And we're all going to bring our supplies of whatever sort we prefer. And we're just going to glorify God and worship him by painting or drawing or sculpting or making something while we listen to music about the Lord. Then at 2:30, we have a video class, which is going to be combined video and drama. All the actors and video editors are invited to join us because we're going to get started on some individual and group projects at 2:30 tomorrow. And then we have Friday off.
Wonderful. That sounds like a really fun day. I'm excited about the painting tiny. That sounds like a lot of fun. So while Miss Gia was talking, I inked this long, I don't know, rectangle thingy. I'm just gonna say the whole top is white, so 0. So I inked the side, and then I moved down to the diamond-y shape. Same thing on the far left shape, I left it 0, so then 1, 1, 1 on all the other shapes. And then if you're still doing that, that's okay. I'm gonna move over to this weird little, looks like a teeny tiny boat to me. I'm gonna start working on the boat. So this one also is really fun because it's got quite a few little open boxes. Shapes are kind of fun, at least to me, because depending on where your light's coming from, there's all these little shades are going to be inside of it. So when you're looking at this little box, when I look at it, I would say that the bottom of it, so let's say the floor of the boat, that's going to be 0. This, I don't know, you guys, it could be 0, it could be 1. I'm gonna leave it 0 for now and just do 1, 1, 1, 1 on everything else, okay?
Emma says she got ink on her hand.
Oh no, it happens. What kind of pens do you have, Emma?
They're not artist pens. They just have this pilot.
yeah.
pen.
Yeah, that's like a ballpoint sort of, yeah, jelly pen. Those are my favorite pens to use when I'm working, like just, I don't know, making notes and whatnot. That's a good pen, honey. But yes, that one does smudge a little. I've noticed even when I'm like, I don't know, writing checks or making notes, if I go to write and I instantly touch it, or not even instantly, it can happen pretty, like 30 seconds or a minute afterward. Yeah, I know. You go to rest your hand on it and you've totally smudged it. So you may just have to be more careful not to get your hand on the paper while you're working. But that's a good pen to use, but more prone to smudging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody should be at a point right now where we have inked basically everything with one layer. Now we'll go through and work on one item at a time and begin darkening it so that it's in a good place value-wise, more or less, okay? So let's start with this open box. I found, I don't know, maybe this is just me, maybe it's an artist thing, I don't know. certain shapes for me feel like, I don't know, candy to the brain or something. They're just fun. Like you start inking them and it's just, it feels good. For some reason, this open box does that for me. I like start to ink it and it's like a warm, happy feeling when I ink it. Maybe I can say this to other artists because you guys won't think I'm crazy, or maybe you will. But I think these are really fun. This one, I like this one. So when we look at this, I'm going to start with this back face, this most right side here. I'm going to ink this down pretty far. I'm going to say this is going to be at least a 5. So you can work cross hatching back and forth until it gets pretty dark. So I got really dark. It should look fairly dark, but I might jump around and work on a few other areas at the same time. But my ultimate goal is I think this is a 5. I think this wall back here would be a 4 at least. Okay. I think that this would be a 1 or a 2. So I left it with 1 layer, but I think it could stand 1 more. But let's start with this and get that pretty dark. So that was 2 layers. Here's 3. Work on this back wall. Okay, that was 3 on the back wall. Come back to the front because it needs to be darker than that, I think. Okay, see how it's got a little bit of depth to it now. It's got some, especially looking on the camera, it's actually really nice for me seeing on the camera because it sort of accentuates everything. I can really tell that this is the dark side and there's some shadow inside there. I'm gonna say this side needs 1 more layer, so I might just do 1 more, make it a 2. Yeah, that was good. All right, I'm gonna call that one for now. I may come back to him later, but I think that that's gonna be just fine for now. Does anyone have one that they want to work on next? Because I don't know if we'll get through this in an hour or not. We'll see. It depends how long we guys work. Any votes? Or I'm just gonna pick one.
Can we do the pyramid?
The pyramid? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so let's start with, I guess this would be the 3rd shape in. Let's start with him. Let's do some cross hatching all the way through it and make him a 2. Yeah, let's make him a 2. Too late to go back down. All right, so I'm gonna do the next one. And I'm gonna do 2 layers on. So do one more cross hatching on him, which will make it a 2, and then do it again and make it a 3. Okay, so Emma picked this one. So somebody be thinking about what you want to do after this. Okay, so now I've got 3 layers on the 4th shape in. So now I'm going to go to the 5th shape in, and I want you to do 4 layers on it. Now, here's a tricky part. So you guys can go over the itty bitty baby if you want to while you're doing this. You're just going to have to remember where it is and put it in the darker layer as you go on. That's why I kind of kept them separately, just so you guys could more easily see where everything is. But that itty bitty one's kind of hard to do all by itself. So if you want to, you can go over the whole thing, and you just have to go back when we're all done with this and do the little itty bitty one. All right, I totally forgot to count. I think that was kind of it. But all I really care about is you see how that it's lighter, well, lightest, a little darker, darker, and then darkest as we hit here. So now I want to make it really dark along this back. It's so tiny, it's kind of hard to cross hatch, so I'm not terribly cross hatching it. I'm just sort of filling it in because it's so itty bitty. Okay, I don't know how done everybody is. If you guys are mostly done, has anyone thought about what they want to do next?
The one that looks like something you would use for creating something.
That?
No,
Hey,
Creating something.
can we do
Well,
the
hold on,
one
let's see what Joey
between
said.
Oh, okay.
the one you might use for creating a machine.
A bolt? A bolt shape?
Yeah,
Okay,
that one.
let's do the bolt shape.
After that one, can we do the one between the square and the pyramid? I don't know what that's called.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So your choice will be next. Okay, so I keep misplacing my paper where I did it. I don't know where it went. Okay, so when we're looking at this little bolt shape, when I look at it, I would say let's start with the outer shape here. So the one that's further, here we go. That's the furthermost away from the sun, okay, that one. Let's build that up pretty far. I want that to be like a 4 or 5, so really dark. So start with that. I feel like we need like epic music in the background, like.
Caleb says he can provide that.
Well, it's hard to do it from your guys' side. but thank you. So I know that Emma, you didn't have an artist pen, which is totally okay, sweetie. What's everyone working with today? Do you guys have some sort of artist pen, or are we using different things like ballpoints or gel pens or Sharpies? What are you guys working with?
I have my microns.
Microns, okay.
Almost dead.
Almost dead. Oh no.
I'm using a Micron, but the only one I could find is 0.2, so everything's turning out kind of dark.
Yes, 02 is a little large.
That was the smallest one I could find.
Yep, not a problem. You know, you got to use what you got to use.
Yep.
Pardon me. Okay, so I'm doing the side here. I would say the side is definitely a 2 at least. So I shaded in this side a little bit so that it's kind of a 2. I'm gonna leave this side a 1 though, because I think it's getting a little bit of shadow, a little bit of light, I should say, so it's staying on the lighter side. And I think everything else should stay the same. So I'm gonna leave this one for now. And Malai, you had, which shape did you wanna do, sweetie? Something between a box.
The one between the box and the pyramid.
The box and the pyramid. Between the box and the
No,
pyramid.
not
This-
the box. The thing with the open box, not that one, but the other one. The one that you liked.
Up,
that one?
Yeah, that one. The one between those two.
the
this
big
thing or
one
this
in
thing?
the middle. That one.
Yeah, that thing right there.
Awesome. Okay, let's start working on him. He's nice and complicated. So I cheated a little, if you can call it cheating. So ideally, in a perfect world, I think this exercise was meant to be done with whole complete layers. I didn't do that. So when I started working on him, I actually did the layers, but then I started adding a little bit more shadow towards one side because I was not entirely satisfied with the overall look. So we'll start building this, but what I ended up doing was kind of feathering in some shadow on some of the shapes, and we'll talk about that as we go along. I just thought it looked better than just keeping it one layer across the whole thing. So let's start building. So let's start with the ones we know are really dark. So I think this one far in the back on the right, and then the one touching the open box are both very dark. So I would go for a 4-5 on both of these shapes back here. So build those. Whoa, is that the music, Mr. John? Reminds me of like Gladiator or something.
You said epic.
You know, that's actually kind of the music I was thinking of. It was even more epic than I had imagined though. But that's kind of what I was thinking. It reminds me, for some reason, this reminds me like we're, I don't know, in this epic journey together and we have to, I don't know, maybe it's where my brain is today, but inking, something about inking makes me kind of go there. I don't know. So here's where I'm going to start adding in feathering. So I'm not going to make this entire side a 5. I would say that the most of it's a 4. I'm going to come along this edge, and I'm going to make it a 5, and I'm going to feather it in. So how I feather it in is I actually start my line, my inking line here, and I drag in. And I'm going to do that right through here. And then over here, I'm going to go the other way. Now, I talked about this in previous videos. The reason I talk about that and why it's important, let me get a bigger pen, easier to see. If this is my line where I want to feather out, wherever you start, do you see how it's really thick? Well, maybe I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but it's kind of a little bit a thicker spot. and I can lift wherever I'm finishing. So I can lift out here. So here will be softer than over here. So if you're looking to fade, so say this is my light area, I would start kind of like this, and you fade towards, or you pull, lift towards the light. So that's what I'm kind of imagining when you're sort of fading a pen, is you are starting the pen away in the shadow where that little dot thing will happen, and then you're lifting towards the light. So that's what I'm doing in here. Okay, nice and dark. I'm gonna start building this up. I think this is going to be at least a 3. So I would say put 3 layers on it, and then we'll see how it looks.
Anna, we're at about 325 now.
What? That was already an hour?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll probably sign off of YouTube then right at 3:30 if you would like. And then, do you guys want to work longer, or do you guys want to quit at 3:30?
We can go longer.
Why don't you just put it in the chats so Mr. John and Gia can read them, and then of course it's up to Mr. John since he's the one watching over the class. Okay, so I made this about a 3 as well, and I'm gonna come down underneath of it, this little triangle here. I'm also gonna make him about a 3. We got a lot of 3s going on right now. Usually in class, you guys, we actually only work about 45 minutes or so. I wonder how are you guys doing with working longer? I feel like most of these classes have been longer than an hour. How is your endurance?
I love it.
Who was that? Was that Joey? Sounds like a Joey.
That was Evelyn.
Evelyn. I cannot tell your guys' voices apart on this video thing. I had a class, actually several classes that I've taken over the years. They were 3 hours, and 3 hours is great if you're in a good groove. 3 hours is long if you're having a bad day. But just like a lot of other activities that you guys kind of work up endurance, kind of like, you know, working out or doing sports, art's kind of the same way. You can kind of build up an endurance for working longer. But always take into account, some of us have bad days, and working that long can be challenging if it's a bad day. Okay, so I'm doing this whole feathering to both of these shapes right here. So I'm also going to do it to the bottom one as well. So you guys should be doing that to this one, and this one. But I think this one, I don't know. I think more lights can be coming from over here. So don't make the whole thing real dark.
You got a question, Caleb or Joey?
Well, see, hey, Miss Anna, you know that this brush that I said has a eraser on it? The eraser apparently works on pen, lightening it up.
Yes, I have heard of these erasers that get rid of pen.
Sounds evil.
Haven't personally used one, but that's really cool. Okay, I think we're almost done with this shape here, you guys, and then it'd be right around 3:30. So I think at the top up here, that's a 0. So then the shape next to it here on the right, I think it could be partly a 2. So what I might do, and I didn't do it the first time, I actually just made the whole thing 2, which is an option for you, but I'm gonna try going from the bottom here and kind of feathering up and stopping about halfway and making it sort of partially 2 and seeing how that looks. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that for now. I might put more on later, but I think I will stare at that and look. All right, so it is 3:30. So I will sign off of YouTube, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me with the pen exercise. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Tomorrow we got like Miss Gia said, we have another schedule with teeny art in the morning. Was it 10 o'clock, Miss Gia?
Yes.
Okay, so
Small
join
art.
us for that tomorrow. And check out our schedule for the rest of the day. We got fun things packed for tomorrow. So bye, guys.